light up like this just south of McDonough, south of Blacksville, that tells me we are seeing significant debris being blown up, whether it be tree limbs and shingles or metal roofs, sheds, things like that, depending on the strength of the tornado. That will determine exactly what is getting destroyed, but certainly at least some destruction right now south of McDonough, where we do have a confirmed tornado warning in place for Henry County. It is now 3:38. If you are south and east of McDonough, if you are in Henry County, get to your safe spot immediately. We do have a confirmed tornado on the ground. You can see it very well here. You can see the inflow coming in, the very obvious signs of rotation. This is as textbook as it gets. This is a tornado on the ground. You can't sugarcoat this. Tornado on the ground in Henry County near Racetrack Road, just south of Blacksville, near King Mill Road. We've got a system moving through. It's been mostly rain at this point. South of our area, south of I-20, there has been a risk of severe weather. It's a very low risk, and that risk of tornadoes even lower. But as you can see, it doesn't take much to see this develop in a situation like this. That's exactly what we're seeing right now in Henry County, where we do have a tornado warning in place. We're still picking up that debris detector, still lighting up. So that tells us this tornado is still on the ground. This tornado is still producing damage even right now. You need to take this very seriously. It is not often that we have a confirmed tornado on the ground. Lowest level of your home, away from any windows, an interior stairwell, a closet. If you have a helmet, put a helmet on. You need to protect your head, especially with flying debris. You do not want to be out and about in this. South of the city of McDonough, near Blacksville, moving to the northeast. This is going to cross over Highway 81. I'm with First Alert meteorologist JD Dishroon. And JD, this is as textbooks as it gets. We are seeing debris lifted up right now.
Is the fact that this debris signature is continuing to intensify. So if you go back, and I'm going to put the radar back a little bit so you can see what's going on. If we go back in time to just 3:33, you can see there's a little bit on the radar right now. And we're going to continue to watch that. We can just go ahead and take the radar, even if it's full without me. We can see that for the most part, we're going to see this little bit of green here, just south of Greenwood, about to cross over I-20. But as we go forward in time, it starts getting bigger. It starts getting brighter. The colors are darkening. You can see now at 3:40, we have that little blue color in there. What that's telling us is that this was not just a system that dropped down and then picked back up. Because the colors continuously are getting darker here, what we're seeing is this is most likely still on the ground, continuously lifting up degree higher and higher into the atmosphere. So I want to stress, and I'm going to zoom in here, anybody on Racetrack Road, Highway 81, Sowell Road, Whitaker Road, Iris Lake Road, Roser Road, Rogers Road. I know I'm listing them out really quickly, but it's really important for folks in these areas to get to your safe place now if you haven't already. In fact, Ola High School is now in the polygon as well. So folks over north of Ola, that's what we're going to be looking for as we go in towards, the next 15 to 20 minutes or so. So, when we talk about your tornado safe place, what we're talking about is going to be on Max 4. And I want to show you what that is because it's very important. We're going to be seeing the potential for, tornadoes in your area. So what do you want to do? You want to get into the most interior space in your home or in your building. So if you're in an apartment, get to that lower floor, even if it's inside of a stairwell. And if you're in a home, basement, obviously the best place to be. If you don't have a basement, any room on the interior that does not have access to a window, does not have access to a door to the outside, is where you're going to want to go. Now, as we take a look at this debris detector, it is starting to spread out a little bit, but it is still showing some very vivid colors and some very vivid imagery, unfortunately, right on top of McDonough. This is not a good situation. This is a heavily populated area. You can see the center of that is right on top of McDonough High School. So the one saving grace about this that I want to point out is if we go back just a frame or so, this is really more in, kind of a circular. Now it's starting to spread out. So one of two things is happening. One is good, which means maybe the circulation is starting to broaden out. The other one, not so good. So I want to go ahead and take a look to see if maybe a secondary circulation was kind of developing there at the same time. I'm not really seeing that. So I'm hoping what this means is the circulation is starting to broaden out a bit. And what we're seeing is the debris starting to get pulled out from side to side instead of just being stuck in that rotation there.
Yeah, and this, honestly, fate, call it what you want. There's a tornado very likely right over McDonough High School. Schools for almost everybody are now out, so definitely a blessing that in the heart of the afternoon, right over at McDonough High School, could have been a very different situation right now. But hopefully all the kids are out of there. It is summer for most children, and I'm hoping that's the case for Henry County and the city of McDonough. Again, confirmed tornado very likely moved directly over the city of McDonough and McDonough High School. This was a very quick spin-up tornado, and the good thing with these quick spin-ups is as quickly as they spin up, they do tend to deteriorate. So that is what we're seeing on radar. We watch this in time as it evolves. And in a different setup, many times we see these tornadoes on the ground for miles. This is not the kind of weather setup we have this afternoon. So anything we do see will be isolated and will be quick. And that's exactly what we're seeing with this particular tornado warning right now over Henry County. Let's put it back on the debris detector. JD, I want to see if we're still seeing any kinds of debris being picked up by our radar beam. That's really one of the best ways to confirm whether this is actually a tornado or not. And you saw what that debris detector looked like. It was a big ball of bright colors. Tells us there was significant debris up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So JD, let's put that debris detector back on and see if we're still seeing anything being lifted up. And we are still seeing things being lifted up. So we'll be watching this. Again, as you said, it's broader. It's not as tight. Before it was almost like a perfect little circle. We're seeing that it's broader, but we're still at a minimum seeing some very strong winds. And even without a tornado, you get things lifted up. You notice your trees, your branches, things on the ground after a big storm. Notice how your pavement and the driveway is covered in leaves and small limbs. This was pretty bright. So this is bigger than your ordinary leaves and small limbs. Certainly some significant debris picked up with this particular tornado warning. And we're still seeing at least some debris in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We're going to wait for this next radar scan because the radar goes in a circle, and between scans you'll get some new information. And JD, you're getting some new information right now.
Yeah, they let the warning expire because remember we were talking about how that was starting to broaden out just a bit, and that's what happened. So we are still seeing debris in the atmosphere, but the rotation has started to diminish. It's more of an upper level rotation. We don't think there's a tornado on the ground anymore, but that debris is still going around inside the storm itself. Behind me, Henry County here, this is I-75 at Jodico Road. You can see some very heavy rain in the area. Traffic is starting to slow down and should slow down given how hard this rain is coming down. And this is the type of system that we've been seeing all week. Just these showers and storms rolling through. In fact, I don't even think this was so much of a storm. We didn't see a lot of lightning with this, but all you need is that rotation to just quickly spin up. Unfortunately, in this instance, it did spin up, actually get to the ground and start to pull up debris inside the storm. But that's what we're looking at. So again, want to reemphasize, notice how this is no longer a circle. It's kind of a line of debris right now. That's a clear indication to us and the National Weather Service. They've confirmed it that we no longer think this tornado is on the ground. We think now the rotation is lifted and the debris itself, while still in the clouds, is just getting swirled around inside the storm itself. So that is some good news. Tornado no longer on the ground at this moment.
Thank goodness. Yeah, that was quick. We'll have to watch it because many times when you get a tornado spin up as quickly as this one did, they can spin up again. Now what I want to do, JD, is I want to go back a little bit when we did have that really well-defined debris detector, what we call a CC drop in the weather world, to see exactly where this tornado was, because it did look like to me it was almost directly over McDonough High School. And we can go back in time. So we're now going back. This is your timestamp right here. So this is what you'll be watching as this radar developed. We start to see, again, what we call a CC drop or the debris detector. Notice how it starts to light up. So this is as it crossed over I-75 in Greenwood, and then that's when it really exploded. So at 3:35 south of the city of McDonough, just east of Greenwood, oh wow, that really starts to pick up. So confirmed tornado on the ground. Again, watch that timestamp, 3:38. Let's keep going, JD. This is at 3:41. So it looks like it was only on the ground for less than 5 minutes. That's how quickly these tornadoes spin up and how dangerous they can be. This was only on the ground for a couple of minutes, but again, over a very highly populated area just south of McDonough, and then eventually made its way to McDonough and just east of that area, very close to McDonough High School. Thankfully, that did weaken. The rotation weakened. We're still seeing a lot of rain right now in McDonough. McDonough, certainly we'll see some damage. We're going to send a crew directly to that spot where we saw that debris being lifted into the air. We're going to show you what that looks like from the ground, because at a minimum, I think we're going to see significant tree damage, possibly some fairly major power outages as well. And it's very dependent on what this tornado went over. Obviously, a tornado over a neighborhood is going to have a very different impact to a tornado that moves over an open field or a more desolate area. The more populated, the bigger the impact. So we will be watching for that to see exactly where that tornado touched down and what kind of damage we had as a result. But at a minimum, we did see things flying up in the upper levels of the atmosphere, certainly at least trees, limbs, shingles, and possibly more. And once we get our visuals on the ground, of course, we cannot send chopper in this kind of weather and the pouring down rain. So we are not going to get those air visuals, at least not right now until this clears. We will, once the rain moves out, we'll be able to give you those visuals from the sky. But we have our crews on the way, and we're going to show you exactly what this looks like on the ground. This is exactly why we first alert. Today has been a first alert weather day for the widespread rain and the potential of severe weather. Tomorrow is another first alert weather day. And not to add insult to injury, but tomorrow the risk of severe weather and the risk of tornadoes is significantly higher than today. Today the risk was incredibly low. It was there, but it was very low, and you saw what happened. So tomorrow we're going to intensify things a little bit. We're going to have a very strong front that's moving through the area. It's going to move through in the late morning through the early afternoon, and tomorrow's system's going to have a little more rotation with it, especially south and east of I-85. So we'll be watching for some possible tornadoes tomorrow as well. That's why it's so important that you take heed to these first alerts. You download our free Atlanta News First Alert Weather app, and on days like today, you need to stay vigilant and weather aware for any possible systems that could have an impact on you and your family. That is why we are here to deliver that to you, to keep you and your family safe. Right now, we're still seeing some very heavy rain over the city of McDonough. This is all part of really what's been a really messy, yucky day. As JD was saying, we haven't really seen a lot of lightning today, but boy, did we see a lot of rain. JD, can we put the power outages? It takes a little while. I don't know if they're going to be showing up quite yet. But usually after a storm, after a tornado warning especially, you start to see some power outages. They're just not coming in yet. That's going to take a little while. There's always a little bit of a delay, just like with your storm reports, whether trees down, homes damaged, vehicles impacted. We'll get those storm reports as well, but someone has to relay that information to government officials, to the National Weather Service, and then they relay it to us. So there's a little bit of a backlog there, but as soon as we get any storm reports, we will let you know immediately. Of course, we'll get those latest power outages for you as well. Right now, that information just not coming in quite yet. It's going to take a little longer. And again, that tornado just happened, 10, 15 minutes ago or so. No tornado warnings right now. In fact, we don't even have a severe thunderstorm warning. We've had no severe thunderstorm warnings this afternoon, and then we go straight to a tornado warning. And let's put our lightning on. Let's even see if we have much lightning, if any at all, JD. Very little. One lonely little lightning strike near the city of Covington. That is it as far as lightning goes. So this was just a rogue area of rotation within a big shield of rain with a low threat of storms or even especially severe storms. But again, all it takes is a little bit of a rotation, just the right ingredients, and you can see a tornado develop. Still seeing some very heavy rain over Henry County, over the city of McDonough, over I-75. But again, at 3:45, that tornado warning was allowed to expire. JD, I know you're communicating with the National Weather Service. Are they giving any updates? Have they had any reports of any damage thus far?
No, we're not seeing any reports of any damage thus far. But obviously, it's going to take some time. So much as Jen was saying, with the power outages, it takes time for damage reports to come in as well. And obviously, given that tornado debris signature we saw for a good 5 minutes and just the fact that it was intensifying so much, there is definitely going to be debris and damage somewhere along that path. It's just going to take some time for people to safely get out to those areas, because that's the key here. You can't really give us those damage reports if you're not going to stay safe doing it. So we're going to have to just wait for those to arrive. But I think one of the most interesting things about this, and this is a great case study of, you don't need a thunderstorm to give us a tornado warning. We had one bolt of lightning. There's one bolt of lightning on the radar. That is just now. There was zero lightning. I went back and looked while Jen was talking. There was zero lightning whatsoever during the whole point of this rotation spinning up, during the debris being lofted into the atmosphere, and then it's settling down. That lightning bolt came after the fact. So it just goes to show you that even with some of these stronger rain bands, if you get enough spin and enough air rushing into these storms, you can get a quick and brief spin up. And that's exactly what we saw today. And brief is the perfect word for it. And even the National Weather Service kind of had a handle on that as well, because, you know, sometimes we'll see, especially in the summertime, when we have these lines of showers and storms move through, you'll get a warning out, and the warning will be for the next 45 minutes or so, because there's just so much confidence that that storm is going to continue to move on and on and on. But for this one, we just knew this was not the type of environment for a long-lived tornado. That warning came out, only lasted 15 minutes. You know, even within a few minutes of it being issued, it went into that confirmed phase because of the debris signature. And none of this was, you know, a textbook example of what you would expect for a typical tornado. So it just goes to show you that even in these rain-wrapped storms, these cooler days, all you need is just a little bit of rotation to get in there. And thankfully right now, we're not really seeing that. I do want to kind of back this up just a bit, though. I want to see what's going on here in eastern Henry County. So yeah. Yeah, so right there, as we kind of push up, looks like it may be trying to get a little bit of a spin back to it. Now, this is north of Ola. I want to emphasize, though, there is no warning, but it just goes to show you there is still a little bit of rotation left in the atmosphere. Now, granted, it's at the mid-level of the atmosphere. They're not saying it's at the ground level, but even the National Weather Service, I just saw it pop up beside me, says, you know, they're still showing weekly rotation as it moves down towards the Leadmore area and then over in towards the Covington area eventually as well. So behind me, you can see some very heavy rain. This is going to be South Ola Road, North Ola Road, basically where they split and kind of come together. This is right around where we have that rotation right now. Notice not a lot of rain on the ground. Most of that rain has kind of started to move into the area. But we'll notice it'll start to pick up. But again, this is where we're continuing to see just a little bit. And you kind of see what I'm talking about here, Jen.
Yeah,
it's not impressive at all. But if you look, it wasn't there 4 or 5 minutes ago. So this is an indication that the cell may be cycling. It may not be, but it's just something that, you know, we as meteorologists know when we see something like that, it's something we really kind of have to keep our eye on as we especially go into the next 10 to 15 minutes, given that this is already spun up once.
And very often that is exactly what happens. It spins up, it goes away, and then it does come back. So that is something we'll be watching very closely for, because it's very weak right now. It's very small, but we're still seeing a little bit of rotation on first alert radar. And of course, if that does spin up again, we are going to let you know right away, right here on Atlanta News First and on our Atlanta News First Alert weather app. Right now, though, we are not seeing any rotation, thankfully. That little bit there, but even that looks like it is weakening. Thankfully, that's exactly what we want to see. This is where we were watching for a little bit of possible rotation, still a little speck of red there, but for the most part does look like something was trying to spin up, but now it is going to weaken once again. Just checked with the National Weather Service. We're not getting any reports of damage thus far, but again, it usually does take a little while for that to happen. We do have multiple cameras in the area. We're seeing lots of rain, very heavy rain across the area right now. If we have one of those cameras, I'd love to pull it up to give you some eyes on the ground of what things are looking like in Henry County right now, where we did have a confirmed tornado on the ground very close to McDonough High School. This is right there on I-75 near State Road 20. And again, very, very heavy blinding rain. Notice on the right side of your screen how slowly that traffic is moving, as it should. But yes, blinding rain. Not only that, you know as well as I do, it's been raining for days and days and days. So the soil is already saturated. We're already having ponding on the roads, and then you get additional heavy rain that really is incessant, and you start to see some problems. On the left side of your screen, that is the Motor Speedway in Hampton. It just changed, but that was in Hampton, and you're looking at Locust Grove now. Again, a lot of ponding on the road. So even outside of that threat of severe weather and outside of that tornado that we had confirmed on the ground in Henry County, it is just a nasty afternoon. I would stay home if you can. Try to avoid being out and about. The kids are already done from school. Let them stay in. Just Netflix and relax until this passes, because again, the roads are wet, lots of ponding on the roadways. There is hydroplaning, visibility is reduced, and it is just not going to get better anytime soon. In fact, we're going to be dealing with rain here for the next couple of hours. It's not until this evening we'll get a break, but then tomorrow we have another first alert weather day with more rain. And tomorrow that threat of severe weather weather is even higher than the threat of severe weather we had today. So that goes without saying. You need to stay extra weather aware, not only the rest of today, but as we head into tomorrow as well. That is why today and tomorrow are first alert weather days because of the rain, the potential flash flooding, and more importantly, the potential of severe weather, including an isolated tornado. Right now, the heaviest rain moving through McDonough, checking those power outages again. Those numbers not coming in quite yet, but I do think we're going to see at least some significant power outages, especially considering that this possible tornado, I should say confirmed tornado, moved over a very highly populated area. Not sure if it was still on the ground when it moved over McDonough High School, but it looked like it was, or at least shortly before approaching that area. So certainly some damage of some sort. We saw the debris being lifted up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. We know that was something. Now it's just going to be, what was it? Was it shingles? Was it roofs? Was it trees? Was it branches? What was it that we saw being lifted up in the air? Either way, it's not good. We will find out for you, and as soon as we get those live images, we will bring them to you immediately. For right now, it is important to note, still soaking rain. It is still a first alert weather day. No active tornado warnings over our area right now, but we are seeing some widespread rain across North Georgia. This will continue for the next several hours. We will get a break from the rain tonight, but then another first alert weather day tomorrow, and that threat of severe weather tomorrow will be even higher. The entire first alert weather team will be here for you, keeping you up to date. We will be watching this throughout the entire afternoon. Thankfully, you can join us at 4, 5, 6, and 7, and again at 10 and 11, not only on Atlanta News First, but on Peachtree TV. Good reminder to download the free Atlanta News First First Alert Weather app. If you have that app, you got an alert right away if you were in Henry County that there was a tornado warning for your area. So it gives you that much extra time to get your family to safety. Can't stress it enough. It also lets you know when heavy rain and lightning is approaching. It will be your best friend when there is potential severe weather. We will have much more coming up in just a few seconds on Atlanta News First at 4 o'clock.
Atlanta News First.